And as always, we got to thank God every minute of every day. It's your boy, One Live Stew. That's right. It's Ryan Stewart, and we are doing a Two Live Stews pop-up with just one stew. And my right-hand man, the Heisman runner-up himself, South Carolina Hall of Fame, Georgia Hall of Fame. I mean, he's in all kind of fames. Y'all know who he is. My man, Joe Hamilton's in the building with your boy, One Live today. What up, Ham? How you doing, man?
Man, I'm doing outstanding, man. I'm doing outstanding. Shout out to everybody that, prayed for the rain to wash some of this pollen away. I mean, and he gave it. The Heavenly Father gave us that rain for 2 straight days. It poured. I don't know when the last time, bro, I heard lightning and thunder. I mean, it thundered and lightning. It was lightning as well. You remember where we grew up, man, the Lord was talking. You better sit down. You better be quiet when it starts lightning and thundering. The Lord is telling us something, so you had better be quiet. No conversations. I don't know if that still stands. I don't know if we preach that or teach that anymore, but the household, my grandma, especially at my grandma's house.
Listen to this, man. My grandmother lived in Mitten Lane, and whenever it rained, every phone plug came out of the wall. Everything in the house that was plugged into a socket, the plugs came out. She wasn't going to let that lightning destroy her house. She wasn't going to let that lightning destroy her TV. She wasn't going to let that lightning destroy her fan. She wasn't going to let that. I mean, dude, it was amazing how at the home we lived in with our mom and dad, they didn't do any of that stuff. But if the weather came up, as she would say, the weather coming up. As that weather came up and we were at grandma's house, everything changed. You quiet, you in that bed, you ain't saying nothing, you can't talk, ain't no TVs on it. I mean, mama don't play with that weather, boy. She just
man, you spot on. You are spot on. Same thing within my household. And as you go and pray for the rain and the pollen and somebody has allergies and of that nature, you have to be unselfish because, again, yes, we all wanted to have sunny days. We all have things to do outside. But best believe somebody's praying for that rain, for the pollen, for their crops, for their vegetables, for everything. So you have to be a little bit unselfish when it starts, the clouds start opening up, so to speak.
Right. Yeah,
yes,
man,
sir.
You're exactly right about that pollen, man. We did some traveling last week as we were on spring break. And this is a Two Live Stews pop-up. Your boy, One Live Stew, and Joe Ham getting down just to have a little bit of fun tonight. Joe, after this morning show, I looked at all my show notes from the last few days, and I didn't get any of those things off the table. So I left the show this morning wanting more action. And I even said that in the post-show meeting. I think we may need to do a pop-up tonight. So that's how this thing came about. I was willing to do it by myself. I called you to check your schedule, and you're like, hey, man, the rain has shut us down. We have nothing to do this evening. So I'll be at the house. So it was absolutely perfect, man. Whenever we get a chance to chop it up, that's what I want to do, man. I want to talk some sports. You coming off of a good weekend, Joe?
Yeah, outstanding weekend. How could it go any better, man? If on Saturday I went to the track meet down at Marietta High School where my son ran. He's a high jumper, also the 100-meter dash, 200-meter 4x2. Hot. And that's what I'm saying. When it's hot like that one day and then the sky can fall the next day, that's a full weekend. And obviously, man, I look for the Final Four. Couldn't wait for Friday, the women's Final Four, and then Sunday, and then Saturday, and then tonight is the men's Final Four. Championship game tonight, but Final Four on Saturday. It's just a stacked weekend, man. The Braves finally came home and got a win. We thought I think they will be all right, the Atlanta Braves. But again, that's something you have to deal with when no team has started 0-7 and made it to the playoffs. But I think the Braves will break that trend. So I'm representing with the hat on today, and hopefully the Braves will clean it up a little bit.
Two things you just brought to the table before we get into these sports, unless you got something else. What are you about to say, sir?
No, I'm just saying, how was your weekend, my brother?
Oh, man, we had a phenomenal
Safe travels, I see. Safe travels.
Oh, man, we hit Memphis for a few days. We came through Atlanta twice, hung out there doing different things, and then we hit South Carolina and spent some time with moms. Came on back on Thursday and just sat down and chilled out, and slept and watched basketball and got out and did some things in the yard. It was an incredible weekend, man. Before we get into the sports, you mentioned Skylar running the 100. What kind of numbers is he putting up in that 100, Joe?
He is a 11-3.
Okay, that's good.
And what's happening with him now, he's got to make sure he does better. He does much better in the relay because he gets a head start. but coming out the blocks, he's a little bit slow. He comes up a little bit. He needs to keep his head down for the first 10
down
and make sure until you feel like you have to get up, make sure you have a lean. But his start is getting him a little bit.
Watch the pros do it.
Ooh,
the Olympians. Man, they go 25, 30 yards before they're standing upright. I mean, they're literally really taking their time coming out that box, man. They don't just come up like that.
No, sir.
They take their time and keep that wind out of it. I mean, it's amazing how disciplined they are to continue to rise slowly and pick up that speed and get those strides in, man. It's amazing.
And I've noticed, man, you know how much of a difference a 11-3 and say 11 flat is? I mean, those points, it's almost, if you run 11 flat and you run 11-5, 11-6, it's almost a blowout.
It is. It is.
I mean, to knock a 10th off is so much hard work, man. So much hard work.
In all the sports, we heard coaches make this saying quite often. In all sports, it's a game of inches. If this is the receiver's hand and this is the DB's hand, he's toast.
Yes.
Okay?
Yes.
If this is the receiver's hand and this is the DB's hand, he's getting beat, but, he's right there. If this is the receiver's hand and this is the DB's hand, he's an All-American.
Yes.
What's the difference in the three? A few inches.
Absolutely. And when you're talking about quarterbacks, I'm glad you said that, but that's the difference from quarterbacking in college and transferring that to the pros. Amen. And it all goes back to high school. Where high school, you're talking about maybe a yard or two, that guy's open. In college, it shrinks a little bit more, game of inches. And then in the pros, that's why you hear wide receivers say all the time, I'm open. I'm always open. Because you have to throw that ball to me. Give me a chance on that 50-50 ball, because it's not going to be wide open in the pros. It's going to be tight coverage to where you have to trust that wide receiver. No doubt about it. Sports in general is a game of inches. It's the game of inches, man. Absolutely.
I'm your boy, One Live Stu, Ryan Stewart. Happy to have Joe Ham in the building for a Two Live Stews pop-up. Thought Doug would join us tonight, but he didn't. It's okay. We're going to rock anyway. Big game tonight. National championship. Florida's taking on Houston. We're going to save that for the end. Okay.
Yes.
We're not going to break that game down in totality tonight. We're going to get our thoughts and suggestions towards the end of the show. We're going to do a little medley of things. And since you mentioned the Braves in that 0-7 start, why in the hell did the Braves start off 0-7, Joe? Let's start there. You watch games if they're on the television. You go to games when you get a chance. You love baseball. This time of year, if there's nothing else on, I will definitely sit down and enjoy the Braves. Why did the Braves start off 0-7 in your humble opinion, Joe?
Very, very simple. Pitching and hitting. The bullpen let them down. Runners in scoring position. When you go 1 or 2 for 22 with runners in scoring position, you're not driving those guys in. And then the bats failed them. And I understand that Spencer Strider, second in the Rookie of the Year behind his teammate Michael Harris Jr. 2 years ago. He's hurt. I understand about Ronald Acuna Jr., your MVP 2 years ago. He's out until probably early May. Spencer Strider will be coming back later this month. But you got to hit. You must hit. And I would tell you, Ryan Stewart, that, the schedule got them going to a loaded San Diego Padres team that beat them. You got swept, and then going to the defending champions, the Los Angeles Dodgers, and you got swept. But I can understand those guys winning a game. I mean, winning a game or two or winning the series. But to get swept, that's the whole thing about the Braves. The Braves overall did not play good ball. And when you come back home, what a perfect scenario to get the Marlins. And then the Marlins beat you that one. You split with the Marlins, and then we'll see what happens tonight. But I wouldn't say the Braves are out of it. They're too good of a team. They have a stacked lineup to count them out right now. But I must tell you, 0-7 has never made the playoffs. So I think they're going to dispute. Good. Yeah, and you have to treat that with context too, Stu. You have to say, those teams that did not make the playoffs going 0-7, what were they? Did they make the playoffs the year before? Were they bottom feeder teams?
It's situational.
It's situational. It is disappointing, but I'm not writing the Braves off at all this early in the season.
And you can't write them off when they don't have their sharpest tool that's in their box on the field, and that being Ronald Acuna Jr. When you're missing a piece like that, it's understandable how you lose a few until he gets back. He's supposed to be back here shortly. Well, maybe not even shortly. He's supposed to be back before the season's over. But yeah, when you're missing a guy of that magnitude, of course you're not going to be on all cylinders like people would like. Question for you.
I tell you what,
get out of the baseball world. Okay,
go ahead, real quick. That was the most disappointing thing with the Braves start of this season. I must just tap on real quick. Was Profar. Profar, your left fielder, you paid him all that money for the pickup in the offseason, and now he's suspended 80 games for PEDs. So now you still have a left field problem that you have to piecework it, and not just the 80 games. Is when he comes back, you're going to have to put him in the lineup. And what if he gets us hot? What if he's doing what he needs to do? And you make the playoffs, he's got to be off of the postseason roster. So that whole deal is a real wrench right there, what you threw in your whole armor there, because Profar was going to solidify the left field. He's a bat at the top of the order. And now you're going to have to play him when he gets back and then have to take him off of the roster in the postseason. Right. And that doesn't bode well. That was a real disappointing for the PEDs. Always watch. Always read what you're putting in your body.
Right. Shohei and Tony, with what he's doing, are you taking the Dodgers, Joe, or are you taking the field?
I'm taking the Dodgers. I'm taking the Dodgers, man. You have 3 to 4 MVPs. You have pitching. You have a manager there that is a player-type manager. And they just hit. They pitch, they steal. There is absolutely no weaknesses on that baseball team. Now, again, I know how baseball goes. Are you hot when you're going into the playoff and all those things? But it's abnormal for you to pick pick one team in baseball. But I think the Dodgers are just that good, my friend.
Boy, they are stacked, man. Shouts out to you, Chief Rocker, the beautiful Mocha Bella, loose neck side. Appreciate you, man. Rail Scott in the building. Look at that, man. Even Jersey Byrne hanging out with your boys tonight. Like Diamond, her beautiful self in there. Tree Taylor producing the show. She's not producing tonight, but she started the show for us. We appreciate you, Tree. We appreciate all y'all. We will make some time for some chat before we get out of here, but let's get into these sports. Joe, real quick, why is Aaron Rodgers playing with our emotions?
Man.
Everyone know the Steelers wants him. Everyone know the Steelers are kind of holding their breath. Can you tell me why Aaron Rodgers is allowing video to be shown of him throwing to DK Metcalf, a guy that the Steelers just signed, and he hasn't signed? Can you tell me why? Can you tell me the games that Aaron Rodgers are playing and why he's playing them right now?
He's being selfish. He's being very, very selfish. And Aaron Rodgers, he's one of those quarterbacks, and I don't really like talking down on quarterbacks. It's a fraternity for us. But I used to absolutely love Aaron Rodgers in Green Bay until, he started to point the fingers in the locker room, calling out the wide receivers, not being very, what I want to say, accountable, not saying that when it's my fault, when it's my bad, not being, just approachable. And now what he's doing to the Steelers, that's what Cam Hayward was talking about. That's what he was talking about, man. We're not going to go out there and recruit you. Either you want to be a Steeler or you don't want to be a Pittsburgh Steeler. That's the whole thing about it. And when you look at it, what are you teasing us for? That's a guy that you're working out that's on the Pittsburgh Steelers roster in DK Metcalf. He's the roster. Are you playing games? Are you waiting for more money? Are you leveraging something? The Steelers said, what I read, the ball is in Aaron Rodgers' court right now. The ball is in his court. What do you want to do? Everything is laid out. You know the Rooneys don't overpay at all. This is a 40-year-old man. So when you in contact, I don't know where this video was at. I don't know if it's in California. I don't know if they're up in Pennsylvania at Pittsburgh workout. I don't know where they are, but that lends me to believe that he's going to be a Steeler. But why wait? Why play these games? And right now, I don't even want to hear from Aaron Rodgers. I don't want to hear from Aaron Rodgers. All I want to do is see this young man, this guy, this football player play quarterback. That's all I want from Aaron Rodgers right now. All this, going to hide out and missing mandatory minicamp. I don't know if Mike Tomlin is going to deserve that or allow that at all. But he's a me guy. Right now, I can say that Aaron Rodgers is a me guy.
I'm not making excuses for Aaron Rodgers. I don't think what he's doing is deplorable. And the only reason I'll let him off the hook for not being a selfish player is because I think he may be trying to protect himself from a Kirk Cousins situation. Kirk Cousins signs that big deal with the Falcons early. It's well into free agency. There's still a draft. Kirk Cousins gets his money. The amount of money that he was given was a guarantee that he's going to be the guy for the foreseeable future. And shortly after he signs that big deal in the draft with the number 8 pick, the Falcons take Michael Penix Jr. And
Right.
Kirk Cousins finds himself with the situation. That is the only reason I will allow Aaron Rodgers to be off the hook. He may be waiting for the draft to make sure he doesn't choose a spot early where someone comes and backdoors him because a team that's early in this draft takes a quarterback because he doesn't want to deal with that. He wants to go into a situation where he knows that is his. He wants to go into a situation where if he's not hitting on all cylinders after week 4 or 5, they're not questioning sitting him down or bringing in some young gun that they drafted. Do you see what I'm seeing, Joe, or do you agree with what I'm saying at all?
Yeah, I see where you're going, and I see what you. I hear what you're saying, but I disagree. And the reason why I disagree with you, Stu, is for this simple fact: the teams are moving, the teams are gone, the teams are drying up. I mean, there is no other place that Aaron Rodgers can go, and the draft is the 24th, right? So, aren't you leaving the Pittsburgh Steelers kind of high and dry now? Or aren't you? Wouldn't the Pittsburgh Steelers going into this draft want to have their quarterback position solidified? And now you're talking about trade bait, draft day trades, things of that nature. That I want to know who my quarterback is because there's no way they're going into the season with the quarterbacks on their roster now. So now they're going to have to be looking. And what time? Time is winding up. You got the free agency period already gone. Now you have to draft. Do I need to make a trade? Do I call the Atlanta Falcons and see?
You're right. He's a son of a bitch. You're right. He's a son of a bitch. I mean, people going to these Ashrams and going to Egypt and stuff because he doesn't want to be a part of the team workouts, preseason workouts. He doesn't want to be. You're right. There's no understandable reason for him to be doing what he's doing right now. You are exactly right.
Because I'm trying to brainstorm it, Stu. I'm trying to brainstorm why. Okay? Why? Why wait so long? What are you waiting on? And you remember about 2 months back, man, and you disagreed, and I think I'm going to dial it down a little bit. I don't know if Aaron Rodgers wants to play football anymore. Yes, he's tossing it around. There's one thing about tossing the football around. I can go out there with my son right now and toss the football around. But that's a grind. That's voluntary. That's OTAs. That's mandatory minicamp. That's the grind of training camp. Then that's playing 17-game season, and you're 40 plus. I mean, because a guy that wants to play football wants to be around your teammates now. Now, I must applaud him that if he thinks about signing with the Steelers, he is getting an upper hand because he's working out with receiver DK Metcalf, getting a little timing back, getting a little bit of chemistry. I would like to see him get that playbook from Arthur Smith down pat. But Arthur Smith. But there is nothing, in my opinion, now that I can applaud him for doing right now because I think he's holding the Steelers a little bit hostage.
Shouts out to my man, Kerry Portis. We appreciate the super chat, especially when we got a pop-up going. Thank you very much, Kerry. Who else we got up here, man? Shouts out to Loose Neck Side. I second that at Treat Taylor. Ryan's glasses are on point. I don't know if you've been following the show. I didn't even read Kerry's message. Kerry said, nice glasses, Ryan. I appreciate both of y'all. Thank you very much. And look at Tree. Tree blesses with a couple of dollars. She's probably going to try to get Doug to pay her back a little bit later. She says the glasses game is giving. Thank you very much, Tree. Joe, I've been working without glasses for the last few weeks. I took my daughter's glasses to be repaired, and we'll get back to the sports in a second. It is the Two Live Stews. I'm your boy, Ryan Stewart. Spending some time with Joe Hamilton tonight. It's the Two Live Stews pop-up. I took my daughter's glasses to get them repaired, and after the lady fixed them, she looked at my glasses and said, oh, you know what? Let me see yours real quick. I didn't even think about it. I popped them off and gave them to her. She took them in the back and cleaned them, blase, and came back out. And she's like, they were bent a little bit, like you may have rolled over on them or sat on them by accident, but I fixed it for you. It's no problem at all. I looked at them and I was like, ma'am, thank you so much. How much do I owe you for repairing the glasses? She said nothing. Don't worry about it at all. I leave. Before I get out of the parking lot, the right arm of my glasses fall off.
Oh, no. Oh,
I turn around and go right back in the spot. And I go to her and I'm like, listen, I've had these glasses for 5 years. I give them to you for 5 minutes and you go in the back and you bring them back and they break. Can you fix these and make them right? I mean, what do we do here? She takes them in the back and brings them back. Mr. Stewart, I'm sorry. These can't be repaired, whatever. And I'm like, they can't be repaired, so that means y'all giving me a free one? And she said, oh, Mrs. Stewart, I would love to give you another pair, but the warranty on these have expired. Hence the new glasses. I didn't go to the place to buy any glasses. I went to get my daughters repaired. She takes my glasses off my face. They break 5 minutes later, and I'm just out of a pair of glasses. I don't even want to tell you how much I paid for these.
Well, a hefty penny, I can tell. They're stylish. A hefty penny.
I got bamboozled. Some call it the pigeon drop. Banana in the tailpipe. I got hoodwinked by the lady.
Let us straight. Let us straight.
It's your boy, One Last Two, Ryan Stewart, man. A beautiful Monday night. We're doing a pop-up, man, getting ready for a big-time game tonight between Florida and Houston. We'll stay in the world of the NFL real quick. I'm going to get your thoughts on Shedeur Sanders. A lot of people roared and raved about his workout this past week. Said more than 500 people was there for this workout. Head coaches, coordinators, position coaches, scouts. It was a real stellar performance to my understanding. Joe, in my eyes, and I'm not paid to do this, but in my eyes, I would almost take Shedeur Sanders before taking Cam Ward because of the pedigree of Shedeur Sanders. I would almost take Shedeur Sanders because of the history that he has had in sports with his father. Yes, I can see a difference in the velocity in the quarterback's arms, that being Cam Ward and that being Shedeur Sanders. Yes, I think that Cam Ward may have a tad more hitch to his giddy up.
Yep.
I'm very pleased with what both of them had done in their college career, even though Cam played at a few different places. Shedeur did as well. Am I putting Shedeur too high, saying he could probably go before Cam Ward? And tell me what your thoughts are when it comes to a lot of people now saying that Shedeur may even drop down to 20. I vehemently disagree with that. So,
well, I agree.
Am I giving Shedeur too much props, saying I would take him before I take Cam Ward? And B, do you see him dropping someplace in the 20s in this upcoming draft, Joe?
No, you're not giving Shedeur Sanders too much props, Stu. You absolutely are not doing that because you said you alluded to why. The pedigree, he's won everywhere he's gone. He's very, very consistent. But I think that, Shedeur is who he is. His ceiling is right where he is at right now. I wonder about his velocity a little bit, but he is deadly accurate. He reminds me, not body type, not being a lefty, not in stature, but just the game of Tua Tagovailoa. As far as anticipation, putting the ball where he needs to put it, in a system that's a West Coast style, slants, intermediate to deep balls, the knowledge, the IQ. Yes, I absolutely you agree with you as far as him being a highly touted prospect. But I think both of these quarterbacks, when you look at being the number one overall pick, they're not can't miss prospects. They're not can't miss quarterbacks like an Andrew Luck or maybe a John Elway or maybe a Joe Burrow. They're not that. And I just read earlier today where they mutually agreed. I'm talking about the Tennessee Titans and the camp of Shedeur Sanders that they're not even going to do any private workouts. So that tells me right there that the Titans, he's off their board. They're not even thinking about Shedeur Sanders at number one. And to your point, point B, I think he's going to drop. I don't find anywhere if the Titans don't draft him and the Cleveland Browns go, in my opinion, they either go Travis Hunter, the two-way superstar from Colorado, Heisman Trophy winner, or Abdul Carter from Penn State, the edge rusher, and pair him up with Myles Garrett coming off that edge. That's their go. And then when you look at it and then you say, well, what about the New York Giants? The New York Giants are not going to pay Jameis Winston and Russell Wilson and then go a number 3 overall pick. to sit down.
They're not paying no quarterback money. Quarterbacks are making $50 to $60 million a year now, Joe. They're not paying Jameis or Russell Wilson that kind of money.
Last year was the exception, what we saw with Michael Penix Jr. 8th overall pick, and you drafted that guy to sit him down. That's an exception.
We talked about that. We talked about that.
So I know somebody would say it just happened last year, but you're not going to draft a quarterback number 3 overall and sit him down. And likely, the chances are Russell Wilson is going to be the starter there. It is going to be hard for Shedeur Sanders to get in a New York Giants uniform and beat Jameis Winston and Russell Wilson out. There's not enough practice time. There's not enough periods in an NFL practice to have that happen. So as you continue to look down at the draft in the top 10, there are no more teams where, unless you get to the Saints at number 9, that needs a quarterback.
Don't forget about Oakland.
And that's the same thing.
Not Oakland. Sorry.
Las Vegas.
Vegas. Don't forget about Vegas.
But that's another thing, Stu, and I understand they're not paying Geno Smith $40 million plus or $50. Well, they are paying him $40.
They gave him $75 for 2 years.
There you go. So what are you going to do? You don't draft Shedeur Sanders in the top 5 to sit him down. And if you're thinking that way, you don't pay Geno Smith 2 for $75. And as you look down at the rest of the draft in the top 10 or even the top 15, there's not a need. So I'm not saying that Shedeur Sanders is going to drop because of his talent, because of what he did on the pro day, because of the ball and his moxie. And some people would say arrogant. I think it's just confidence. It's not arrogant at all. Some people might say that, but I don't think it's because of any of those things. I think because of needs from other teams that he's going to drop out of the top 10. And I firmly believe that just because of needs.
Okay. We got to show some love to my man, Jungle Brother. Jungle Brother, we appreciate you, man. He said Shedeur told Tennessee, don't draft him. I'm glad he needs to stay away from them and Cleveland. How do you feel about players telling teams not to draft him? Your thoughts on that? You mentioned that as well. What's your thoughts on that?
I don't mind it. I don't mind it at all. I mean, there's history, there's background. There's guys doing their research about the owners and organizations, the way they go about their business. You have to feel comfortable. The likes of John Elway did it, so it's not unprecedented. Also, you saw that with Eli Manning, not going to the Chargers. So it's been done before. Is that a little bit of the writings on the wall, though, in my opinion? Did he anticipate that Tennessee would not draft him anyway? Why waste anybody's time? Why would I go there and work out for you when I know you're not going to draft me and I'll be gone by time the second round? I don't have a problem with that. Now, the Cleveland Browns, I don't know why he would tell the Cleveland Browns not to. All right, now, if you're talking about Haslam and ownership don't pay.
Especially with Stefanski. I would think he would want to be coached by Stefanski.
Yes, Stefanski's an outstanding offensive coordinator. He won with Joe Flacco. But that mess of a Deshaun Watson, I mean, the owner came out and said they missed. They missed completely on Deshaun Watson. They drop all that money, guaranteed money to him, and completely miss. But Cleveland is in need of a quarterback. All right. But it goes to that I think Shedeur and Cam Ward is just a need position. I don't think they'll blow away talent-wise. Very, very good quarterbacks, but top 5 quarterbacks, I don't see it. And I love both of those guys.
Before we move off of Shedeur, let's talk about my man JY3. We want him. Sanders to the Saints.
Excellent.
You just mentioned that a second ago. Before we get off Shedeur, let's read one more. Jungle Brother says Shedeur reminds me of Aaron Brooks, big-time quarterback related to Allen Iverson. I remember Aaron Brooks out of the Virginia Beach area. A lot of talent out of that Virginia Beach area. The Vicks, Brooks. The list goes on and on.
Ronald Curry.
The list just goes on and on. AI, a lot of big time ballers from out of that area. Before we get out of the road of football, the NFL, with the draft coming up towards the end of the month, has contacted Alabama to holler at Jalen Milrose. They asked Jalen Milrose if he wants to come and be in person at the draft that's taking place in Green Bay this year. Give me your thoughts on that and why they may have done that. Do you see him going in the first round? We talked about Shedeur possibly falling to 20-something. If that's the case, Milrose got to be someplace after that, correct?
In the first round, not somewhere after that. I think it's Jackson Dart on my board before Jalen Milroe. Jalen Milroe definitely is a guy that can come in and learn how to be a pocket passer. His skill set as far as throwing the football, running with the football, but he's just not a processor right now, Stu. He's not able to, go from one read or one side of the field to the other side of the field. He's a one read guy, and then he's going to pull that ball and take off with it. I can't quite put my finger on why he would accept this challenge. Accept that invitation to go to Green Bay for the draft. I cannot, because that puts a lot of pressure on you. You're going to be, all the cameras are going to be in your face every time a quarterback goes. How long are you going to be in that green room? There is no doubt in my mind, and I could be wrong, so I can't go to 100%, but I definitely not. I'm about 96% sure that he's not going to be going on day one. He's not a first round player. He's a first round talent, but you don't draft a quarterback in the first round to develop him. You just don't do that. He's a very raw talent, but that's a lot of pressure on you to be in that green room for you to take on that festivities. And would everybody want to be to that draft? Yes. I remember, man, in the year 2000 when I was in the NFL draft, was trying to get drafted, that my neighbor and cousin, Courtney Brown, who was the #1 pick, he wanted to experience that. He debated that for a long time. Do I stay here in Alvin, my hometown, and invite some family and friends over and watch the draft with my family and friends and have a big get together, or I go to the draft? He decided to go to the draft, and then the next day he came home at the Alvin Community Center and had a big old celebration for him. So, but that was the #1 overall pick. And if you're iffy about it, and I don't know what the response is, I could be totally wrong, Stu. He probably did his homework, and I think he did. And somebody's telling him that projected right now, you might be late first round, early second round. If that's the case, good invitation, good accepted invitation.
You mentioned you can't see them drafting him to be a project in the first round.
Yeah, absolutely. I can't.
Talk to me about why the Titans would take Will Levis from Tennessee for Tennessee. Talk to me about the Colts taking Ant Richardson, a guy that didn't have as many snaps as Jalen Milroe, a guy that didn't play in big-time games, championship games like Jalen Milroe. He goes early and has been a huge disappointment to this point. When it comes to taking a project quarterback, I can't think of taking a better one than Jalen Milroe. The guy that ran a damn 4.3, a guy that's got one of the strongest arms coming out in the draft. Are you kidding me saying you don't think he was either a project that somebody would bring in to develop? You got to be kidding me, right, Joe?
No, I'm not kidding
you. They do this all the time in the National Football League.
No, Stu. Now, you gave me 2 examples, so you can't say all the time. And just for clarity, Will Levis went in the second round, and then Anthony Richardson, you're going to wait and wait and wait. I mean, is that regrettable? This is a guy, Anthony Richardson, that got benched last year because he tapped out. So was that a mistake? And I love it for the young guy to get drafted in the top 5. But he did, as a passer, was more polished than Jalen Milroe. The only thing I'm talking about, yes, he's a project, and you would want him on your football team if he can develop in what you want him to be. My whole thing is about the first round. That's it. We've seen it, but it's not plentiful. It has happened, but I just can't see that. I just can't see that.
Those 2 names I gave you were just 2 names that came to the top of my head. But if I did some research, I could give you 10 to 15 quarterbacks that were drafted as projects in the top 10, top 12 picks. It happens almost every damn year. These quarterbacks are a 50-50 shot. You're going to be good. You might be bad. But it's not out of the realm of thinking that there's a team that would, especially the way that the game is changing these days, the way they're running the ball with quarterbacks, allowing quarterbacks to use their legs. This kid ran a legit 4.3. He's 230 pounds, and he's 6'3". You've got to think that when it comes to being a specimen, there's no better quarterback specimen-wise than Milroe coming out of Alabama this year.
Stu, you're making outstanding points. I mean, outstanding points. You almost got me crossing over, but I'm not going to budge because I could add on to your list. I mean, what about Daniel Jones? They reached for Daniel Jones at number 8, the New York Giants. Absolutely. And what that cost him, though? It's a reach. It's a reach. So you don't want to you don't want to reach.
It didn't cost them because they turned around and gave him 4 years, $160 million. So it didn't cost them. They liked what they saw. They gave him a deal.
And he's gone.
Joe, talk to me.
And he's gone.
He's long gone.
And he's a backup now.
He's a backup. Okay. Yeah, but again, if if somebody was willing to take a flyer on Daniel Jones to give him 2 contracts, then the immeasurables when it comes to Milroe is much higher than all the guys we've mentioned that's going in the first round.
You have to go back to film, Stu. You have to go back to film, and yes, he has a lot of rushing touchdowns, or he had a lot of rushing touchdowns at Alabama. You have to go back to the film at the Senior Bowl practices where he struggled being accurate, where he struggled really reading the defenses, throwing the ball in a tight window. He has an outstanding arm. He really throw it, but he can't dictate where he wants to put it as of yet. So I'm not saying to you at all that he's not going to get drafted, and why not draft him with his skill set. I just a little bit reluctant of being a first rounder. But again,
go ahead.
Again, shout out to him. He's accepting that invitation to go to the draft for a reason.
Time out, man. And shouts out to Arlie Michelle, entertainment reporter for the Two Live Stews. She's in the chat room spending some time with the folks that spending time with us. Thank y'all all for pulling up for the pop-up with your boy One Live Stew and Joe Hamilton. We really appreciate y'all being here. If you think for 1 second before we move on, if you think for 1 second that they called that young man and they don't know something, or they know where there's interest for him, they don't call kids to invite them to come to where the draft is going to be taking place at without knowing something, without talking to someone that says, if he's on the board at 15, if he's on the board at 21, if he's on the board at 25, that's who we want, Commissioner. So y'all probably should call him and ask him if he can come. That just doesn't happen by happenstance, in my humble opinion.
Your humble opinion is correct. It's absolutely correct.
Okay. All right. Your boy One Last Stu, Ryan Stewart, hanging out with Joe Ham. A few more things in the world of college football when it comes to college guys going to the pros. Jackson Dart, you mentioned him from Ole Miss. I'm taking Jalen Milroe before I take Jackson Dart. I want your thoughts on that. What kind of pro do you think he will be, the kid from Ole Miss?
I think he'll be a solid pro. And I also think that he is ready to play football in the National Football League right away, or more ready than Jalen Milroe now. He's still somewhat of a project. What you have to give credit to him for is that Lane Kiffin type of offense. Lane Kiffin runs a pro-style offense with pro-style concepts, able to have a guy read, call audibles, makes a lot of checks at the line of scrimmage, dictate coverages, 1 high, 2 high. He's a little bit more developed that way, and a better passer of the football right now. Now, again, I think Jackson Dart will be a first-round quarterback, but there's going to be somebody that's going to reach for him. There's going to be somebody that falls in love with him, and all it takes is one team. Because I don't know if you did, but I surely did not think that Bo Nix was a first-round, matter of fact, a top 12 pick last year. But Sean Payton sat there, and Sean Payton saw something in him, said that his style, said that his offense would really be can take it to the new level with the RPOs, the boots, and the waggles, and the sprint outs. So I'm not definitive that nobody can't fall in love with Jackson Dart in his game film. Excuse me. And he played in the SEC, had an upset win against the Georgia Bulldogs. But I just think overall, you can get more out of Jalen Milroe if you have an offense designed to utilize his legs, but ready to play now. I think Jackson Dart is ready to play.
We'll do several more shows before the draft takes place, but mark it down. You heard it from me first. Jackson Dart ain't leaving no board before Jalen Milroe. He ain't leaving the board. The way that there's 16 black quarterbacks in this league now, the game has changed, and Dart's got some mobility in his legs as well. He's got some mobility, but the way the game has changed right in front of our very eyes, we are not going to see a quarterback that's 230 plus pounds, standing 6'3", throwing the ball 80 yards down the field, running 4 threes. We're not going to see him just sit on no bench while the draft continues to go on in the first round. I am sorry. I'm not poo-pooing on Dart, but if I got to take a quarterback, I'm not taking Dart before I take Milroe. I just can't do it. It's your boy One Live Stew. Some time with Joe Ham. Before we move on, man, because we got college basketball to get into tonight, before we get to college basketball, because we're going to start with the women. Joe, explain to me what's taking place here. You got Dak Prescott being rumored to possibly getting traded to the Cleveland Browns. You've got Joe Milton, a quarterback that played at Michigan, played in Tennessee, played in New England, shown promise, has a future in this league. He gets traded to the Dallas Cowboys. Joe, what's going on in Dallas? Tell me what's going on in Dallas. You're a Dallas Cowboy fan.
Yeah.
Tell me what's going on in Dallas with Dak and why they would trade for Joe Milton. Tell me what's going on with your quarterback situation in Dallas, Joe.
Well, they didn't like the development pace that Trey Lance was on, and Trey Lance was the backup. So they didn't see enough. We know Dak with his ankle a few years back got injured. Dak was injured at the last part of the season last year, so you need a backup quarterback. I think that's just what it is. As about the rumors, I think it's all about rumors about trade to Cleveland. Now, I will say this, Stu, that Cleveland is doing their due diligence. Why wouldn't Cleveland call up the Dallas Cowboys and see if they are happy with Dak Prescott and the $60 million that they paid him? Why wouldn't Cleveland go ahead and try to solidify their quarterback position if they're going to get rid of or do away with Deshaun Watson? But I don't think real quick. I don't think it's the Dallas Cowboys dangling their quarterback around to the other 31 teams.
You think people calling on him?
Calling on him. Checking on him and checking on Jerry and Stephen Jones to see how they feel about Dak Prescott and that football team right now.
If Cleveland is openly telling folks, as you mentioned earlier in this pop-up show, that they think it's a terrible deal that they gave Deshaun Watson, and Deshaun Watson is walking, and he's probably going to walk with over $200 million. If Cleveland's telling folks that they're disappointed in that contract that they gave Deshaun Watson, why would they consider bringing Dak in at $60 million with what Dak has done the last few years?
Oh, well, because Dak put up numbers. I mean, obviously, when you talk about Dak Prescott now, let's not get caught up in the success of a football team. Now, I know Dak has not performed well in the playoffs or in big games, primetime games, but Dak has put up numbers. Remember, not last year, but the year before, Dak Prescott finished second in the MVP race. So he's a good quarterback, puts up a lot of numbers, and he's a starting quarterback in the NFL. And again, what you did, the mistake you made with Deshaun Watson is guaranteed money. Now, I don't think they'll go down that road again. So that $60 million per year is a little bit different than guaranteed money. And listen about the Cleveland Browns now. That division, man, with the likes of Lamar Jackson and the likes of Joe Burrow, you're going to have to find, and I don't know quite yet who the Pittsburgh Steelers are going to have their quarterback, but you're going to have a quarterback in that position. And the fact that the Cleveland Browns are trying to get another quarterback baffles me a little bit about how they feel about Shedeur Sanders. I hate to go back to that, but if you're in such a need of a quarterback and that Shedeur Sanders' high IQ and the way he's played a lot of football, he's ready to step in right now. But so I don't quite understand that, but I do not believe that the Dallas Cowboys are shopping Dak Prescott. I think it's other teams calling on him.
We appreciate that, Joe. That's a very good point. If Dallas is not hanging him on the hook like a piece of bait, that's one thing. And you're right. If other teams are acquiring or inquiring about their wants for Dak, that's a totally different situation. Getting ready to wrap some things up right now with your boy Joe Ham. We got a big time game going down today, but before we get into the Florida-Houston showdown, the final two teams in men's college basketball, let's talk about what took place last night in Tampa, or yesterday in Tampa. UConn beat the shit out of South Carolina. 82-59. Y'all, please excuse my French. I don't curse that often. I try not to. I'm trying to clean this thing up. But Gino Auriemma hangs 82 on Dawn, and right around the third quarter, I was getting dressed to drive to Tampa because I didn't like to see Gino beating up on a woman like that. I just didn't like it at all.
Hey, my goodness.
Give me your thoughts on last night's game, man. 82-59. UConn gets their 12th title, having more titles than any college and or women and men's team in college basketball. Give me your thoughts, Joe.
Yeah, well, you look at talent. Yes, the Gamecocks, South Carolina Gamecocks, they're well coached by Don Staley, no doubt about it. They have, 8 or maybe 9 McDonald's All-American on that team. They have the Joyce Edwards, a very, very good freshman. Fuwali as a sophomore, she's very, very good. But they have no really go-to players. They play some type of in the SEC, you play bully ball, so to speak. You play with your back against the to the basket, post you down, rebounding, in the points in the paint. And the UConn Huskies play a little bit different style. They run plays, they run a little bit finesse. And when you have three go-to players, you have the freshman and strong freshman of the year overall in the whole women's basketball. You have an All-American or do it all, maybe the first overall pick in Paige Beckers. And then you got AZ Fudd, that's an outstanding a young lady that can perform off the dribble, pull-up shot, defense very, very well. And then you have the greatest, I'm almost going to say one of the greatest coach ever in all the sports in Gino Auriemma coaching those guys. He's definitely the GOAT in women's basketball. He might be the GOAT in college basketball, period. And he might be one of the best coaches we've seen in all sports with 12 national championships. He's been in the Final Four 24 times. He's only lost.
He's been there since 1985, Joe. He's been there.
Yeah, he's been there 40 years. Yeah, absolutely. But again, what does that mean? That's longevity. And also, can you give him credit for adapting when you see Coach K and when you see Roy Williams, when you see the coach, the former coach from the Villanova, he's retiring and getting out because of NIL and transfer portal, that they are not adjusting, or they're not willing to adjust to today's era or today's time. The longevity of Gino Auriemma being able to do it in all those decades is something to be held and something to be said about. And I should not have been surprised about what happened to the Gamecocks, because the regular season had happened. They beat them by 30 in the regular season. UConn Huskies beat them by 30 in the regular season because of the same things that I mentioned, a different style of basketball, to where it's freelancing, pick and roll, motion, and it's hard for the USC to just move the ball around when you don't have a specific go-to person to get that ball in the hoops when that basketball goal kind of closes up on you a little bit.
Right. Joe, talk to me before we move on about Dawn Staley and how she handled yesterday's loss. I love Dawn Staley. I'm a huge Dawn Staley fan. I'm a supporter. One of my best friends from high school and Dawn Staley have a good working relationship. He cooks a lot of her meals for her. He's the chef down there in Columbia. She's an amazing person on and off the court. Tell me how you felt about how she behaved at yesterday's game, because that's been a topic of discussion for several people.
Sore loser. And you would think that Dawn Staley would act a little bit different, Stu, but
never having been to a championship without winning. That's the first time she's lost on the championship stage.
And Stu, to get there is a testament. Trying to go back to back is not easy. Very few teams have done it. And remember, UConn is known for that. With Breonna Stewart, they won 4 straight. So they've known for going back to back to back to back. But I think Dawn Staley, I'm going to excuse her, because it's one thing to lose on the buzzer beater. It's one thing to lose down the stretch with fouls and missing a free throw or missing a layup here and there. But to be taken behind the woodshed, all right, when people can turn the TV off and find another movie or find something else to do while the game is going on, to where you and I love the games to come under 5 minutes in crunch time, to be a close game. For that to happen, I think Dawn Staley was a little bit embarrassed. And I thought the embarrassment of how it went down caused her to act out of character a little bit, in my opinion.
Okay, I agree 100%, man. We'll move off of the women's basketball and UConn getting their 12th title last night. We'll go into college basketball. Huge game tonight, man. Florida's favored by 1.5. I know you're not a betting man.
Yeah,
but I talk about the numbers a lot because I am. Florida's favored tonight by minus 1.5. They average more points than Houston does. They've got a better field goal percentage than Houston does. They're a very good defensive team. Houston's got a bigger winning streak going on right now. Tell me your thoughts about this game. No, before we get into this game, before we get to this game, tell me your thoughts about the disappointing Duke loss. With 8 minutes to go, Duke has a 13, 14-point lead. Talk to me about that before we break down the Florida-Houston game, Joe. Talk to me about disappointing Duke loss last night.
Very, very, very disappointing Duke loss. And it goes to show that you have to be in some type of close games to get you primed for close games. Duke average, coming down the stretch, they were on a winning streak, including the ACC tournament. They were blowing folks out. Scoring 100 points, winning by 20 points. And to be comfortable like that in all the games and not being tested and having to make decisions late in ball games, I think cost Duke. To be up 7 points with about a minute and a half left to go, Houston put on the press breaker. And to not be able to the day one install, I call it day one install as far as beating the press. If you beat the press, you're going to have to flash somebody to the middle, avoid the corners, make sure you screen away, and Duke refused to do that. Duke called the timeout to try to, to correct the press breaker. And then coming out of the timeout, they weren't able to beat the press. Some may say that foul on Cooper Flagg was not a foul, but the refs called it. I don't think that was a foul, but the refs called it. So the late moment in the games, I think Duke, I wouldn't say panic. They weren't prepared, and they weren't in enough close games to be that moment. And shout out to Houston.
Do you question the 3 freshmen being on the floor for the amount of time that they were on the floor in such a huge game last night? A lot of people are passing some blame on to them. Duke's 3 freshmen that had a phenomenal year, probably 3 lottery picks in the NBA draft coming up this year, but not having that experience. You question that happening at all?
Oh, absolutely not. Absolutely not. No question at all. How are you going to, what the old saying? I'm going to dance with the lady that I brought. I'm not going to do that. Those guys are all ACC freshmen. That Malawak, he's going to be a top 10 pick, 7'2", rim protected, slams everything in the paint. Knipple can get his shot when he wants to get his shot, standing at 6'7". And we all know about, people saying Cooper Flagg might be the number 1 overall pick. So absolutely not. It's just when you go back to it, late moments, being in that situation, Houston put that pressure on them, and what either pressure makes diamonds or they bust pipes. And that's certainly what Duke was not in that situation. They didn't handle it well.
You mentioned Cooper Flagg just now. He did get a clean look, came up a little short on the shot. He dropped 27 points in the game, had a phenomenal game playing offense and defense. Phenomenal game. He had a great game other than that missed shot. Talk to me about that. You putting any blame on him? Isn't that a shot he has to make? Isn't that the shot he wanted? Isn't that the shot his team needed him to make all year and he didn't make it? You putting any blame on him for coming up short last night?
Yeah, I hate to play the blame game, Stu. I'm so involved in sports. I love sports so much that somebody's got to win, somebody's got to lose. There's no blame. You want that shot the way you draw it up. I saw that John Shire, the head coach for Duke, talking to Cooper Flagg right before they came on the court. He basically said, if you get to your spot, I'm going to trust you. I don't need you passing this ball. I've heard, some analysts say that maybe he should have passed it to somebody in the corner that was wide open. No.
He was wide open now.
At 6'10", medium range, mid-range shot, you want Cooper Flagg to shoot that every day of the week and twice on Sunday. So no blame. The shot just did not fall.
It's your boy, One Live Stu, Ryan Stewart, getting ready to wrap this thing up to get ready for some championship basketball. Looking forward to seeing Florida and Houston play, even though I had Duke winning it all. I did have Florida and I did have Houston in my Final Four along with Auburn. So I did very good picking my Final Four teams. I just didn't pick the final team right because Duke is now gone. All right, Joe. The Sharks are saying -1.5 for Florida. Give me your thoughts on tonight's game.
Well, it's going to be a really, really good game. You mentioned a little bit earlier, a few moments ago, about Florida field goal percentage, scoring, getting shots, and that's absolutely correct. But on the flip side with the Houston Cougars, you're looking at a team that's number 1 in every category that you can think about defensively. Every single category, from steals to rebounding to field goal percentage, every single thing. So I don't think this is going to the numbers of this game is going to get out of the 70s. I think the overall under is right around 140 something. So I don't think it's going to go 80 something, 90. I don't think it's going to be that type of game. But I am going to pick the Florida Gators, and here's why. There's a difference to me in the Big 12 and the way they play basketball with the likes of BYU and the likes of those guys. The competition. And remember, we talked about it a few weeks back. This is a team in Florida went through the gauntlet of the SEC, that had 14 teams in the NCAA tournament. They had 7 teams that made it to the Sweet 16. They had another 2 teams make it to the Final Four in Auburn, in Florida. And I just think they're more battle tested. I think they've been in more hostile territories, territorial games. I think they have a go-to player. And I'm ashamed to say, I have to look it up right now on my computer to name you the 5 stars. I have to go for the 5 starters for the Houston Cougars. I have to go to my computer. I can't name those guys or who their go-to players are, but we do know in Walter Jr. For the Florida Gators, he is a go-to player. He's reminding me of that Kemba Walker run that he went on from UConn. The way he's taking big shots, the way he's shooting off the dribble, the way he's making clutch buckets. That's why I'm going with the Florida Gators. I think the Florida Gators are battle tested because of the SEC. They play solid defense, and they play somewhat of bully ball. They play somewhat of a bully ball. They hustle. They play for the whole 40 minutes. And I just think that experience of going through and playing tight games in the SEC is going to prevail tonight.
It's your boy, One Live Stu, Ryan Stewart, man. Outstanding job, Joe. I appreciate spending some time with you, man. I'm very excited about the game. Your point about Florida makes a lot of sense. They had a tougher road to get to this championship. They played steeper and tougher competition, and I think they're more battle tested because of that. And I do think that they'll find a way to edge this thing out. I don't think that Houston's going to be easy. They got a coach that's a hard-nosed coach that's been around this game for a very long time. I think it'll be a great game. I just hope it's not a blowout and it's competitive. Yes. But I think Florida will find a way to get it done, man. I see Florida winning this thing by about 4 or 5 points, but they're coming down to a couple of last shots late in this ball game for somebody to get a victory.
And I will say, Stu, there's a difference between who I think will win the game, like an analyst or just dissecting the pros and cons of both teams, and then who you want to win. Because I definitely want the Houston Cougars to win. I want Coach Sampson to get his first national championship because he's got a storied, Hall of Fame type career. So I want the Cougars to win, but I feel that in my pick, if I was a betting man, I would bet on Florida.
God is good all the time, and all the time God is good, Joe. If you don't know him, you need to find him and show him love because that's all he's showing you, nothing but love. Thank y'all for pulling up. I didn't intend to go all the way to 8:30. I intended on reading some more chat. We did read a little bit. I was very happy to see Ollie and Tree spend some time with the dogs and poodles in the chat room. Everybody in the chat room, man, thank y'all. Y'all get an A+. Y'all get an A+ tonight. Thank y'all so very much for pulling up. It was short notice. Thank y'all for pulling up. We'll look forward to seeing y'all again on Thursday morning. Joe, I'm giving you an A+ too, man. Thank you.
Hey, man, that's easy peasy, man. Appreciate the invite, man. Appreciate the invite, man.
Hopefully the game will be so good we'll feel compelled to do it again tonight, again tomorrow night, even though the rain is what allowed me to be able to do it tonight. So I'm very thankful for that, man. But outstanding job.
Don't forget about In the Huddle with Joe Ham on Wednesday at 9 o'clock.
That's right. Yeah, it'll be me and you, sir. It'll be me and you, man. Look forward to it, man. We'll talk about tonight's game on Wednesday night for sure. In the Huddle with Joe Ham. Bless you, Ham. I appreciate you, man.
Hey, man, no doubt, man. Be easy.
Y'all be good, man. We appreciate y'all pulling up. Again, you can catch the 2 Live Stews this Thursday, 7 a.m., YouTube, and on Facebook, where we do what we do. Again, you are very, very appreciated and loved, as always. We'll talk with you guys real soon. Be blessed.